I don't like talking about it because I don't feel like I can say I've had a mental health problem.
I've gone through. I chose to go through therapy.
Text. Oh shit, my life's fucked.
I learned that I was a lot stronger than I thought I was.
This is not about airing dirty laundry. This is about talking about mental health and how we cope with it and what we did. And when it was over, I went into a spiral of, I don't like using the word, but depression.
The only thing running through my head was my granddad is on my shoulders.
Yeah. Did you watch the UFC? Because obviously we spoke about it on Twitter.
Yeah, I didn't watch it. I saw like the sort of aftermath, like sort of everything that was on Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah. What did you think of it? Because obviously I know you're not a bit like huge into UFC.
No.
But
I was only interested in the result anyway because Conor was fighting.
Yeah. That's going to sound really, really nice for anyone listening to that. You've got their earphones in, they can just hear you sucking your fingers.
I don't really know, from the videos I'd seen,
yeah,
it looked like Conor actually initiated the whole sort of everything kicking off after the fight.
Well, he sort of initiated it in the first place anyway with his trash talk. And he smack talking as his usual, shtick is before a fight. But this time it was different a little bit because he brought like religion, politics, family into it, and
see, I haven't seen a lot of that.
Well, it was from the first sort of head to head, if you will. It's like a press conference, and the first time they were like in the room together since the bus incident, and. Yeah, he brought up like loads and loads of like pretty on the edge things that you would probably not say if you were Conor McGregor, that sort of thing.
If you ever want to get monetized on YouTube.
yeah. No, well, it wasn't that bad, but it was just very political and very personal, and you could tell that Khabib obviously took it very like personally, which you would do because it was just an insult to his lifestyle, really. Yeah. One of the things like Conor was advertising his new whiskey, and he was trying to get him to drink, and he's obviously a devout Muslim. Don't drink alcohol. Yeah. It's just one of those little things that he's just trying to get to him, and he did get to him. But what happened was, usually in the past when he's got to his opponents, they've like caved in to him. Like with Jose Aldo, he got so shook up that he showed him his face and went head in for him, and all Conor needed to do was catch him. 13 seconds, he's done. But with this guy, he's like an animal, and that's why he obviously took him out.
Is he undefeated?
Yeah.
I thought he was.
And everyone, the thing going into it was like Conor's great at standing, great striker, and Khabib's obviously a great wrestler, and that. The fact that Conor has the chance, because all the rounds start over them both standing up, Conor's got the chance to do something on the first whatever. You know what I mean? He has a chance to sort of make an impact first, and he couldn't even do that. And Khabib actually showed him that he was just quite good as a striker as well. But the whole fight is just marred by what happened afterwards. It was just a moment of madness from everyone involved.
I think my take on it as a whole, like if we're not just talking about the two fighters and the teams, if we're actually talking about the event as a whole, I think it was seen by a lot of people to be an event that was always going to end a bit, maybe not like that, but
it wasn't going to end there.
It was going to be messy, basically. Yeah, it wasn't just going to be the fight and that'd be the end of it. I think it very negatively affects the UFC though. Now, we've already briefly spoken about this. Yeah. I think it will have a positive impact.
You can't even keep it professional for my podcast. He was farting on the podcast that we did. I think he's probably shit his pants.
No,
now.
it's like this diet I've been on. There's been so much protein and nutrients and shit. And
I don't need to know.
I just fart so much.
Carry on your point.
Yeah.
Please.
I think it... But obviously, like, the first, like, maybe, like, day or maybe not even a day will have a very positive impact to the UFC. A lot of controversy surrounding it. As we all know, controversy creates cash.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you know, all the views, people going back to watch the fight, like the money brought in from that as well. But people look at it. This is just my opinion anyway. I'm not. In my opinion, I'd look at it and I'd go, okay, that's happened. That's fun. That's entertaining. That's cool.
Yeah.
You then watch it a few times, you then actually process what's happened, and you think, well, actually, that level of unprofessionalism, especially after, you know, like, I feel like once you have, like, an actual one-on-one fight with somebody, especially at a sporting event, after it has happened and the win has been decided, that's where you should show a mutual level of respect.
Yeah, of
because
course.
You've got in this case, like an octagon, but you've got in a ring with each other, you've kicked the shit out of each other, and I'm allowed to swear on that.
Yeah, go for it.
You know, you've kicked the shit out of each other, and you know, you've both done it, you've both got into the position, like that. You should show a mutual, especially when you're being paid a lot of money to do so.
Yeah, well, with
this,
it's just more than that. It's on a personal level.
Yeah.
But for Conor, his sort of personal vendetta finished after the fight, because this is all. I think it was reported, but it might be bullshit. I don't know. He was heard saying from a microphone after the third round, "This is all just business, isn't it?" into Khabib's ear, and Khabib replying saying, "I guess so." So maybe he was sort of trying to squash it there and say, like, afterwards, that's it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think I've watched it a few times now, and I think Khabib, he's not the worst to come out of this. I think it was those guys who jumped into the octagon to smash Conor. Bare knuckles as well, let's not forget. After having just gone through 5 championship rounds, that was the worst thing. Because you've seen it before. Conor jumped over the octagon to get at Jose Aldo. I think Brock Lesnar did something with Frank Mir, I think, going back quite a while now. And, you know, after fights, that's usually where you get the sort of buzz for the next fight. And fair enough. But Khabib, you could sort of understand a little bit. There's obviously something there that's made him sort of snap and go, because he's not normally like that. But I think it's a bit unforgivable, the people who jumped over and bare knuckle did Conor in with a few punches. But we've not really sort of introduced this podcast. Hello and welcome back to my channel. It's been a while, 5 months to be precise. And we're back with something different, something new, a podcast. But I don't really want to attach any identity to it, any sort of purpose to it. This is just a sort of general chit-chat between friends. Adam's obviously joining me.
Hi,
Adam. And we're going to just sort of have a little talk, a little chin wag, as the previous podcast was called. It's not going to be called that now, by the way. I haven't got a name for it yet. It might just be called Josh Dainty's podcast. I don't know. But we're just going to have a talk about whatever's going on around the world and whatever's going on between us and that sort of thing. And it should be pretty fun. Yeah?
Let's do it.
Yeah. So, I wanted to get your reaction to World Mental Health Day is, I believe, tomorrow. I think, yeah. And obviously, everyone around the world has started to sort of set up these events where people can come and talk.
I just want to throw it in.
Yeah?
Quite a good idea you got this. The new hashtag feature with YouTube, where you can like put hashtags on the videos.
Yeah.
There's a lot of topics you can whack in that hashtag bar. create the views.
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Yeah, well, there you go. I don't, like I say, I don't want to put an identity onto it. I want to sort of leave it to snowball and build into a podcast on its own without us having to seriously plan it.
Yeah.
So, because no one wants to sort of sit down before it for like half an hour and go, right, we're going to talk about this, talk about it. Just let's talk, man, and just
if people are
chew
interested,
the fat.
they're interested.
Yeah, chew the fat and just talk about anything we want to. So,
yeah. Anyway,
Mental Health Day. Around the world, events have been created to obviously go and talk about things and talk about what you've been through. And I just want to sort of talk between us about our own experiences with it, if that's all right with you.
Yeah.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah,
you don't have to if you don't want to.
There's a bit of a...
It's a bit of a deep start,
yeah,
but it's
especially
something that...
I've had no pre-warning about it.
Yeah, no. I haven't even thought about what I'm going to say, really. But
okay.
I just think that now it's such a huge thing, this sort of... It's now built up to be like a media circus around mental health. And in the past sort of like 5 years especially, it's become like such a huge thing. And I think that now more and more people in the public eye have started speaking about it. You have like sports people like Danny Rose, Tyson Fury, I can't think of them off the top of my head, but loads and loads of people. And I think it's just good that we've given our chances, we've given our sort of, I don't know what I'm trying to say here, we've got a place to speak freely. Yeah. And not a lot of people do, because not a lot of people choose to make a YouTube channel and make videos like this. But we've both made our own YouTube channels, amassed over 100 subscribers each, not to brag. But it's, it's small steps.
People don't see that as an achievement these days,
but it is an achievement when you think
it's
about
a milestone.
it. It's a milestone, and I bet everyone who's been there in the past and experienced that's probably their best achievement, because that's like what started getting the ball running. But I just think that we should speak about things because it's the best thing to do. Because no one wants to be lonely, no one wants to feel alone, no one wants to feel like you can't sort of say anything to anyone, because that could be the start of a spiral. And we've seen people of notoriety again. I don't like to keep going into celebrities and that, because I feel like they're a little bit different to us, but suicide, and people have not spoken about it, they've kept it bottled up. And it's just sort of like, I just want to sort of talk about it.
Pretty big names as well.
Yeah.
Because you don't... I hate... where people will sit and those people that will say, when it's like celebrities or famous people, where they sit and say, you've got so much money, why are you depressed?
Yeah. It's not about that at all.
Yeah.
You could have literally everything in your possession and still be unhappy. And I just wanted to sort of... I think this is just from looking outside in. I know that I think my experience with mental health has been a little bit different to yours, because I think that yours has been a little bit more based on sort of careers and education. And sort of that sort of bit of your personal life, whereas for me it was more personal with the people in my life. That's just an observation. What do you think? Like, what has been your sort of experiences, if you'd like to talk about it?
Yeah.
With mental health, and because before I let you go into this, here's my thing. I'll give you time to sort of think about what you're going to say now. I don't like talking about it because I don't feel like I can say I've had a mental health problem. Because I feel like there's people out there who've had much worse.
No, I completely agree.
Yeah?
Like, I'm not gonna go out and say everything on camera.
That's fine. You say exactly what you feel comfortable with.
But there's things that I've done, experienced to help me get. To sort of help me become positive again and be happy again. But even
what sort of things are they? Would you like to go into about that? Have you sort of changed the way you think, changed the way you've, do things, approach things?
I mean, it just seems bad saying it in my head, but I guess at the end.
As soon as you start getting a little bit serious, a little bit deep into this, you just go out and you fucking drop one again. Do you really got to do this, man?
I'm so sorry.
Look, I've gone out and I bought you. Well, I didn't buy you. I picked up the Nando's for you, and I brought it back. And now you've just used that to fuel it, so you can ruin the podcast by farting.
Right. It probably helped though.
Probably did.
Kind
Bit of tension, a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. No. It just sounds bad in my head saying it, but at the end of the day, it probably doesn't really matter because I reckon probably quite a few people have either experienced or thought about like going through it. Like I've gone through. I chose to go through therapy. Like I've had a professional. Come. Well, I went to see him. To not help me get over my problems, but to kind of like figure out why I was so just down.
Yeah.
I guess. And then sort of just helped me see the options. Like he didn't, it was never about giving me anything. It was all about like basically finding the roots of the issues, because it was never, it could never be pinpointed to one thing.
Right. And
then sort of showing me what I already had and just couldn't see, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
And showing me, you're able to do this. You could do that. The basically letting me know that I had things, available to me that I maybe just didn't think about, and showing me the roads that I could go down, I guess, to just lead a more positive lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I can safely say it's at least helped in my experience with mental health.
Yeah.
I think if we're going to talk about how it all started, so...
Do you think there is a start though? Do you think there is a definitive point you can pick out and say that was where shit started to really hit the fan? Because for me, I've had obviously the one big blow for me, I'll talk about it later, but I've had one big blow, and then it sort of deteriorated from that big blow. Because I can definitely say that I know this where it started, but I was just wondering if you can.
I think it was like, I don't know, because I think there was a few things that sort of hit me.
Yeah.
But then it got worse, like really, really bad, like over the past year.
Yeah.
Well, like year and a half to 2 years now. It was basically around the time of leaving school.
Leaving sixth form?
No, leaving year 11.
Right, okay.
Because that was when I didn't go back to Hayfield.
I thought, so you... You've come out of year 11.
Yeah.
You've had your sort of summer break, which is the longest summer break that everyone goes through, and it's a good time. Lots of parties and whatnot. It comes to September.
I went to sixth form.
At the same place?
Yeah.
For how long?
Less than a year. Right. I did the exams.
Yeah.
I actually did alright. I got a C.
You could have easily gone back and just carried on.
Yeah, I got a CDE in the end.
Yeah.
Which
I think that's what I got, to be honest. I don't really think about mine.
It was average.
Yeah.
But I'd stopped. Like I decided I didn't want to go like a good month before like we was ready for exams.
Okay.
I said I'll still take the exams because otherwise then there's been no point in the whole year.
Of course, yeah.
But it's just not for me. Like I just don't want to do it.
Was it just the sort of being in education?
Yeah,
sort of
I just
day in, day out.
Yeah, I just wanted to. I think I always thought sixth form would be so cool, like you know, because you feel
in between us.
Yeah, like because I don't know.
No, it's one of those things, isn't it? That you sort of you see different things, and you hear different things. What's gone on at sixth form and the sort of lifestyle that comes with it, and you go, yeah, that's definitely for me.
Yeah.
But then it's not all it's cracked up to be.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what obviously what's happened for you.
Yeah, and it was so I left, and in the same sort of time period, like within the space of a couple of months of me leaving.
Yeah.
And at this point, I was looking at apprenticeships.
Yeah.
I had a really close uncle of mine pass, and I took that really badly.
Well, I just want you to hold on that for a second. That is another little topic I'd like to sort of cover. I had in my head from earlier today, thinking about what we can talk about, was coping with loss. So I get that that's sort of added to your thing, but we'll go back and cover that in a little bit more depth if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
But you say this.
I'm going through the stages.
The sort of,
So that hit me pretty bad.
Right.
But I was still able to, keep my head focused on career, and I got myself an apprenticeship. But it was one of those things where I was very young, so I was still like, I just want something local, like something easy to do.
Get a bit of money.
Yeah, that sort of thing. So I got an apprenticeship for mortgage brokers. Well, it was like financial advisors, mortgage brokers kind of thing. In Bawtry.
Which, for those if there's anyone watching that doesn't know where that is pretty much our local town, village town, just near to Doncaster,
near Sheffield,
in South Yorkshire, near Sheffield,
near Sheffield.
Just say it's near Sheffield, most people will understand,
so I got that, and I, despite sort of knowing in my head it wasn't what I wanted to do long term, I genuinely because it was my first proper 9-to-5 job, I put everything into it, and I tried
a lot of energy into it,
and I I'm not going to be petty, and I'm not going to mention any names.
No, of course not. That's not what the platform's here for, is it?
But the owner of the place, the actual place itself, was a shit show.
Really?
And the actual boss was fucking awful.
Yeah.
And so after about,
I'm going to bleep this out, 100%. I'll show you. But was it? Okay, that will be bleeped out. Yeah. But okay. Just to sort of get an idea.
After about a month and a half of me being there, he decided to sack me.
Right.
Now, the reason, to this day, I couldn't tell you the exact reason.
Did he not give you the reason when he did it?
So, the conversation we had when he decided he was going to let me go.
Yeah.
Let me try and remember the things he said. So, one of the things he said was, I'd got on there one morning.
Yeah.
I went and turned on my computer, but I didn't turn on, one of the lights in the office. And he said the first thing you should do when you walk into any office is turn on all the lights, make it bright. And I was like, I'd been.
Sorry, that was one of his reasons for sacking you, for not turning on a light.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. It is bullshit.
Right.
Since
then, did he give another reason?
I'm trying to think of the right, okay, so he lied on one of the things as well, right? I can't remember all the reasons he actually said, but they were all petty things like that.
Like turning a light on.
One of the things, so for people that don't understand, with an apprenticeship you have an assessor, somebody that... Yeah.
Someone comes in, judges how you do,
and
you've got to do a little report.
Kind of things. Yeah. And it was exactly a week after she'd been in. Mm-hmm. Now, he told me that when she had her quiet chat with him, he said that she told him that I didn't seem like motivated, or like I didn't seem like I was enjoying or like liked the job role, basically.
Right.
So as soon as I left the office, like the morning of being sacked, the first thing I did was call her to let her know what had happened.
Right.
And she was shocked at finding out what had happened.
Okay.
And I said, you know, he's also said that you've said this. And she was like, no, I can show you the report I did. I'd said nothing but positive things about you.
Yeah.
So he blatantly lied and, you know, tried to use her as like a backing of, someone from...
To give more leverage in the fact, look, we got to get rid of you.
Yeah. And now I'm not jumping to conclusions by saying this is why, but so the owner of the place, his daughter, I know.
Okay.
And her best I don't know if they are now or not, but her best friend at the time,
right,
or sorry, like one, like very, very close friends,
yeah,
was one of the people I was up against to get the job, and the company as a whole chose me over this girl.
Yeah.
Now, this girl was struggling to find a job after I got on that job.
Yeah, yeah.
And within a day of me being sacked, she was in the office and because I have a friend working in the same building.
Yeah.
Ross Ebenstall, I'd drop the name.
Okay.
Because it's like, you know, the...
Shout out to you, Ross, if you're watching.
He was working in the same building, and he let me know the next day she was in. Now, I'm not saying... I'm not saying that was why, but I just thought because there was no actual legitimate sackable offence. Like,
you'd not committed... what's it called? Gross misconduct.
Yeah, like I'd literally done nothing wrong.
Yeah.
And
but surely, can you not contest that, or could you have not contested that?
Well, no, because it was within the first 3 months, so it's
so
still
it's your
a probational
probation
period.
Right, yeah.
So I couldn't have done anything about
shit.
it.
That is fucking shit.
Yeah.
I'm not obviously, like you say, it could just be a coincidence, but
to
say that you were in line with the job for that time.
To me, it just seemed a little bit odd.
Yeah, too good to be true.
Yeah.
It's not a coincidence. Let's be honest, but. You can't sort of throw fingers and accusations.
Yeah, I'm in a much better place now anyway.
Oh
so.
Yeah, Christ, of course, yeah. But at the time though, it could have sent you. It did send you, like I presume. Yeah, you're gonna say, but it's all good now. But carry on.
The next thing I did.
Yeah.
So, like after being there for 1.5 months and get sacked, I'm like, fuck, I need a job. Like, I can't just quit school and have nothing.
Yeah.
So I was literally applying for everything and anything.
Right. Okay.
And
does that include like bar jobs and
no, like
just trying to be a little bit more specific, right?
So like 9 to 5 kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I eventually got a place at a solicitor's in Doncaster.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Granger Appleyard Solicitors.
Okay.
And
presumably you're not going to chat shit about them, are you?
No.
Now that we're mentioning them.
No.
Is that cool?
No,
right.
Not at all.
No,
I mean,
good.
To be fair, the owner was a bit of a knob as well. But like, he was all right. Like, he was just one of them.
I think bosses have to be knobs,
like,
don't they?
I think he was just one of those. Like, he wasn't like. He was quite old, so like he didn't.
Bit old school.
Yeah, like he wasn't a fan of like just talking to his employees. Like like I think I was there for like a couple of months. I spoke to him.
Yeah. Right. Jesus. That's bad.
Okay. And there, again, like it was then I realised like I can't do this. Like like it was so boring and the same stuff day in day out.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like it wasn't fun, and I think that was when it really started to like hit me because
so your uncle passed away. Has this happened yet, or is this about to happen?
No, this has already happened. So
your
like this
away.
is still fresh though.
Okay, yeah. So it's happened, but it's not in the distant past sort of thing. So
it's like we're still in the same sort of like
period. Yeah, of course.
So it's still fresh, and I'm going day in, day out, and I'm just hating my life.
Mm-hmm.
And like, especially, you know, I'm just going to Doncaster every day, and I wasn't particularly friends with anybody. I was friends with like one or two girls there, but
Right.
you know, there was no one in the workplace that I could really relate to on a social level.
Okay. Did you have anyone that you could speak to at that time as well, or did you keep it all like bottled up?
Everything was bottled up.
Yeah.
Everything.
That's the way it goes sometimes.
It wasn't until after I'd left the job
Mm-hmm.
that I'd even spoke to anybody about it.
Okay. Right.
So I was doing this for a few months,
Yeah.
and I was just doing it just because I wanted money.
Yeah.
I didn't know what else to do.
Honestly,
I didn't get a lot of a career advice from my parents, so it was all kind of on my own.
Yeah.
And life was shit, basically, really fucking shit. And I knew it. You know, like people were doing their second year of sixth form, and everyone else was together, and I was
to go to uni.
Yeah, like, and I was just on my own.
Yeah.
Like, what have I done? Like, why did I do this?
So at this time, I obviously know you're in a relationship with Lucy, your girlfriend, obviously. I don't know why I said that. But how have you spoken to her? Or have you kept it bottled up from her as well?
I kept it bottled up from her as well.
Wow.
She was the first person I told when I left the job.
Okay.
But
So did she sense anything that was going wrong, or did she just sort of, because she obviously presumably had a life to live, sixth form.
When I'm with I can bottle up my
mask it.
Yeah, like I'm very good at that.
Right.
Like I could be.
I think I'm the same as well, but yeah.
Like I'm just very good at just hiding what I'm actually feeling.
Okay.
And you know, it got to the point where I just couldn't take it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I quit the job.
Right.
I didn't tell her. Lucy was the first person I told, but I didn't tell her for 2 weeks. Like
so 2 weeks. Did you see her in that time?
Yeah. So I did for those 2 weeks, and this is the first. If any of my family are watching this, this is the first time any of them will hear about this.
Really?
For 2 weeks after I quit the job, I was leaving at the same time, saying, you know, I'm off to work. I'd go to the library in Bawtry.
Yeah.
I'd either read a book, Stephen Gerrard autobiography, shout out, or watch some YouTube videos.
Yeah.
I'd go to the gym, do a cardio session, come back to the library, watch some more YouTube or read another book or whatever, and then go back to the gym for like a proper workout, and then go home. And I did that every day for 2 weeks. Well, Monday to Friday for 2 weeks, pretending I was at work.
So, just to sort of bring that back a little bit, what made you think that was the best option?
I know I was just scared to tell anyone because I'd obviously been sacked for my first apprenticip. I'd then decided to just leave the other one.
Idea
that I wasn't sort of work material. That I wasn't like I was just being stupid basically.
Yeah, of course.
So I was just.
So did you? Was people asking you at this time like how's work going? How, you know,
well, and I'd just sort of play it off like it was alright, like not too bad. And obviously I'd even like put a suit on and go out. So it was
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Full. Oh man. No respect for you telling that on the podcast. I've heard this story, not full, but respect for opening up on the podcast.
And it was actually on my birthday. Yeah. That I told my dad.
Okay, this was 2 weeks after then.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
So I spoke to my dad.
Yeah.
Because my dad was taking me and Lucy out for my birthday.
Okay.
And we sat in the restaurant.
And Lucy knows at this point.
Lucy was told like 2 days before, so like she just found out.
Yeah. How did she take it? Was she supportive?
Yeah, incredibly supportive. And so my dad, he knew something wasn't quite right. Like he knew my aspirations to go into media, and he knew that like being a solicitor wasn't what I wanted to do long term.
Yeah.
And he'd heard me complain about work prior to this,
right?
So he knew that I wasn't really happy in the job.
Yeah.
And maybe it helped because it was my birthday, so he's just being like extra nice to me. You know,
course,
we was out for food, and then he was saying, you know, if you're really unhappy or whatever, and you want to pursue something else, like I'd support you. You know, like he was saying the right things to sort of give me the confidence to go. Actually, I have left. Like I don't work there anymore.
Okay.
So
he's told you all these things, supportive messages.
Yeah.
You've dropped this. How has he responded? First sort of like things. Was he shocked? Was he?
He actually took it really, really well.
Yeah.
In the sense of, it was almost like it wasn't really much of a shock to him.
Mm.
He was like, okay, you know, that's fine. Like, get on it. Like, as long as you're back out there, like looking for something. Like,
had you been looking?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough.
You know, but he was just. I don't know. Like I think my birthday had a lot to play in it. Like the fact that it was like.
Yeah, you can't upset a kid on your birthday.
Yeah. So it was probably good timing for that.
Yeah.
So then we get. I'm going to interviews for a position as like a media assistant.
Okay.
And I'm doing that. I've done it for an insurance company by this point, and I'm about to do it for an interior designers, which, as you know, I got the job for.
Yeah.
Probably about less than a week before my interview, my granddad dies.
Really?
Yeah.
Shit.
So this is still all this, like, because, you know, I was only at the solicitors for 2 months.
Yeah.
The first 1 month. This is all within the space of about 5 or 6 months.
Fuck.
Jeez. Yeah. I took this one a little better, I think, from my uncle.
Yeah.
I'd like learned to cope with it a bit better, I guess.
Yeah.
So I managed to sort of keep my shit together. Go for my interview anyway, and the same day I got the call back saying we want to hire you, basically.
Nice one, yeah.
So I accept, and it's kind of like at this point I don't really know what to think, because it's like I've obviously just had this devastating news, but at the same time I'm now in a job where, you know, it's on the right sort of career path to what I want to be doing. So
of course.
Things are starting to maybe look up career-wise, but I've just suffered like another, you know, it was just crazy, like
huge blow to your sort of life. Yeah.
So anyway, life goes on. I'm there. It's a good job.
Yeah.
What they didn't tell me is they'd never had a media team before. So
was everything a little bit wild?
Yeah, so especially I'd not really had any experience at all in media.
Okay.
It was just something I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I came into the job, they expected me to set everything up. They didn't have a media executive.
Right.
So I had to set everything up, deal with you know, I'll openly say that they'll end up seeing this or watch it anyway, but even if they do, I'm happy enough to say I was a media executive for them for an entire year. And I got paid for an apprentice wage.
Right.
The experience and knowledge it gave me was great.
Yeah.
It was just like... The workload was ridiculous.
Yeah.
For somebody of my age and experience.
On your own.
Yeah, and for what I was being paid for it.
So you literally had no one to sort of meet with?
I had for January, probably about a month and a half, I had a media executive with me.
Right.
Because she came in and she left.
Okay.
Because it wasn't anything to do with the company. Her old job basically offered her more money to come back because they really wanted her.
Right.
I'm still in contact with her now. She's a very nice person.
Okay.
Very good at what she does.
Yeah.
But yeah, she unfortunately left.
Right.
So it's then about. I'm obviously there for a year. It like I said, it's good, but the workload is so much, and she leaves, and I've got like 2 months left on my contract.
Okay.
So I let another month run down, and we get a month left, and it comes to the point where I'm talking to the PA, like the sort of general office sort of PA of the boss, but she kind of does everyone's little bits.
Yeah.
And I sort of, in this point, I'm half expecting them to say, we'll offer you the position as a media executive,
right?
Because you've done the job. Yeah. And they say to me, we don't quite have the budget to offer you the money for a media executive. Would you consider doing another apprenticeship in a different area of media for us, to gain some more experience? And
presumably you.
Yeah, and I was like, fuck no. Like at this point, I was already doing a little bit of freelance work.
Yeah.
Sort of video producing, video editing.
Yeah.
And that was what I wanted to sort of pursue.
Yeah. You were presumably getting better paid for the freelance work.
Yeah.
So you literally had no point in staying there.
There's no reason to.
No reason,
unless they offered me
a normal
money.
Salary.
Yeah. So I was like, no, fuck that.
Yeah.
They then said, okay, like that, that's cool. Like we'd sort of decided on a finishing date where my contract would end and I'd leave.
Yeah.
And about a week prior to me leaving, they was doing interviews.
Already for your job?
Yeah.
Bastards.
So, and they was literally bringing people over to me saying, this is Adam, he's currently doing the job, he's leaving next week. And I was like, yeah. But like these were like, as in like, these were like adults that they were going to be paying an actual salary to come and do.
What? They weren't coming in to do an apprenticeship?
No.
They were coming to do a full-time job and they were going to pay them?
Yeah. And like they hadn't actually said it, but it was like, like the people that were being interviewed, they were like in their 20s, 30s, whatever, like,
so
like,
presumably they're going to do
they weren't coming on to do an apprenticeship.
Jesus Christ.
So that was another sort of big blow.
Yeah. But it wasn't, presumably it wasn't like as big a blow as your past blows.
No.
And from there you
went freelance.
Yeah.
And we're still here now.
Right.
So
how long was it? Because I can't remember really.
I left in April. It was like mid-April I left.
Right, okay.
But I was dabbling with freelance before.
Yeah. So since then you've been freelancing sort of thing, just a little bit before.
Yeah.
So you've given me like a nice, good like storyboard.
Yeah. This that probably went on for like a while, but that was like everything that like happened to me,
and it all had an impact.
Yeah, because it was all so much in such a short period of time.
Yeah,
it was like I was kind of a kid in school that didn't really care about life.
Yeah.
I got out of school.
Well, when you say didn't care about life, you sort of like
I was
a fun-loving kid who doesn't think about the responsibility.
Yeah. Like I mean, like life outside of school, like it was just oblivious to me.
You just get home, play a bit of FIFA,
just enjoying my life.
Yeah, of course.
And then like I decide to leave, and I get hit by about 9 buses.
Yeah.
So it was like, it was just really, really difficult. But now things are on the up.
So, with your experience of the mental health side, you're sat there, and opposite you is yourself from when you've just left sixth form, let's say, or just been fired from the first job. What do you tell yourself with regards to mental health? Because that's the topic. How do you say, look, this is what you've got to do? How do you prepare for it? How do you feel like, what's your words of wisdom now, looking back?
It's such a cliche thing to say.
Yeah.
You could probably already guess what I'm going to say.
I think I've got an idea, yeah.
But it's talk to anybody.
Yeah.
Like, literally, like when I say anybody, I literally mean anybody. Even if it's...
Could be a bloke on a bus stop.
Yeah.
Sat next to you.
Like...
They might think you're a nutter, but...
like, the thing is that some people feel more comfortable talking to somebody that doesn't know them.
Yeah.
Because it's like, they almost can't be judged.
Yeah.
And, like literally, and like if you're in school and you've got like a special bond with a teacher, go and speak to the teacher. It doesn't have to be a friend, it doesn't have to be a family member, it doesn't have to be a boyfriend or a girlfriend, anyone. Just literally don't think about how you're going to word anything or how you're going to tell them anything that you are. You have your conscience, like this little thing in your head, it's always talking to you.
Oh yeah.
Anything that you are thinking about, just say it plain as it is. Let everything
all out on the table.
Literally everything.
Yeah.
Or place all your cards on the table. Show exactly how you're feeling, and almost in the way I've just spoken about all the different events.
Yeah.
Lay it out like that, and then just explain how each one has made you feel, and.
Would you say, sorry to interrupt there, would you talk about maybe what you've learned from them, like your learning points?
Yeah,
or would you...
exactly. Well, I mean,
did you learn a lot from yourself?
I learned that I was a lot stronger than I thought I was.
Yeah.
Like, I think...
So that's a very, very valuable thing to learn.
I think looking back at those, like, if I was to not experience those and somebody had, like if I was in your position where I'm telling you all these things,
yeah,
I would be sat there in my head thinking, fuck, if I had ever gone through that, like I don't know what I'd have done by now.
Yeah,
like I don't think I would have managed. Whereas I'm sat there, I can, this has all happened and I've come out the other end and I'm fine.
Yeah. From the way you speak about it, and also to an extent what you've actually been through, I can relate to you on quite a similar level there, because I've both lost my uncle and then my granddad. I've not been fired, but I've left a job that's not paid very well, and to try and find something else without guaranteed money, without a guaranteed job. And I've just, the same way that we've both gone through those things and our experiences of mental health, I feel quite similar to sort of the characteristics there, because when I've experienced things with like mental health, it's a bit more, for me, it was... I felt like I shouldn't say anything because people are going through worse. So because throughout my life I'd say I've been like the strong one in the family, because I've never really, I've been brought up, my mum and dad spent almost every penny they had to send me to a private school, and I know what you're probably thinking when you say private school, you're thinking I'm like Jack Whitehall or something like that. It wasn't that at all like that. It was very, very normal for a school, just quite small. And so but I'd got a good education out of it. And I've always said this, I feel like if I'd have gone to a secondary school and had a normal secondary education, I would have slipped into the system and become just another number. But thankfully, thank God to my parents, they've made my life just excellent, and so I go from private school to sixth form, same sixth form that you went to. I'd say survived 2 years there because I did not put anything into it at all. I literally, like when you say there was, you get all the stories about, you have a really good time. That was actually it for me. I had a really good time on a social level, but an educational level, it was absolutely horseshit, to be honest. It was bad for me. I scraped my A-level results somehow magically got into my university I wanted to go to, did all that, finished university. Well, actually, no, my sort of mental health story starts just into the third year, my last year, which is around this time last year, September. Maybe no, I think it was this time last year. So I'd done 2 years at uni. I'd fluffed the first one off because it doesn't count.
Yeah.
Don't do that, kids. If you're going to uni, put all your effort into it. Second year, I'd done all right, not great, not bad. So I knew that the third year was like, pull your finger out. Yeah, you've got to go for it now. And at the time, everything was going fine. I just had 2 lovely holidays on my summer break. I'd come back. I was just enjoying life, preparing for it, and I think that was the time where before my holidays and that, because I was still at uni in my second year, I'd started my YouTube channel, but back then it was Rovers Fan TV, which was a university project, and it went really well actually. That's where I've got all my subscribers from, and still got them now. Shout out to you guys. But
he's helping me with my challenge videos back
no, that's where it all started for me with YouTube. But I'd say from the end of the football season that year, I can't remember what year it was now, but what would it have been? So not last year, the year before, 2016.
2017 season.
Yeah, so 2017 summer.
Yeah.
So the season's finished. There's no more content to do about Donny Rovers or anything. I am doing the odd video with you and Alex back then, and I then go on my holidays. Have a great time, great summer. Come back, and it's been a while since I've made any YouTube, and I'm in a relationship, and this is what affected me. This was my mental health story. It was 2 weeks or a week into being at uni in my new house. So everything was going for me. I had a relationship, I had a new house, which was shit hot at the time. It wasn't when we left it, but it was shit hot when we moved in. Everything was going good. I had a placement at a non-league football team, Gainsborough Trinity. We've obviously both done stuff there. And everything was just fantastic. It was brilliant. And one day, everything just changed, but through one thing. So I obviously, the story. I was dumped by my ex-girlfriend. And at the time, I sort of still think back to the time now of it wasn't real. That didn't happen. I'm reading a text. Oh yeah, it was by text as well, which makes it a little bit worse.
And you've been together how long, just to clarify?
Just over 2 years, I think it was at that time. So it was a shock to me because one, it was over text and over the phone, which is, from my perspective, one of the worst things you can do.
Cowardly.
Cowardly. Even if you've been with someone for a month or a year or 2 years or 2 years and a bit, I think it's cowardly. And I was just shocked. I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to accept it. I definitely didn't accept it. And I did some things I wasn't very proud of, said some things I wasn't very proud of, and I'll completely own that. And now looking back on it, I can accept what I said some of the things I said was wrong. But at the time, you don't think that. You really don't. You just sort of go through the motions of, holy shit, my life's falling apart. I've just had this killer blow by text, and what the fuck do I do now? And the crazy thing was, I got the text as I was writing out a job application form for Papa John's to do delivery driving in uni in Stoke.
Oh yeah.
So I was literally just little me just writing out my my application, where I'm from, blah 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 blah. Text. Oh shit, my life's fucked. That was literally it. My life is over now. I was guaranteed that job, by the way, because I had my car there, and it was all going to be fine. I was going to use my car and get paid money to deliver pizzas. I never went back because I couldn't. physically, every time I've driven past it from this day, it gives me a sort of like a chill.
Yeah.
Because that was the day, and that was the area, that was the shop, the pizza, Papa John's, where it's called, where everything changed for me. Now it's changed for the better.
No wonder that. You remember that Papa John's we got after that night out, and it was shit.
Yeah. Fuck you, Papa John's. Fuck you.
It's the most disgusting pizza I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, no, I don't rate it actually at all.
We
I've had
paid
two, and I don't
we paid
rate
like
them.
17 quid for them as well.
And they were just like giving them away at the end
Yeah.
because they were the last ones, and that was knocked off price. Anyway, we're digressing. So yeah, every time I went past it, I was just like, I can't go there. Yeah. And as the weeks went past driving, this is just a side story. I'd see the note in the window, drivers wanted, and I was like, oh no, I'm not doing it. I can't do it. I can't face it. I can't go in there. I can't go into the place where my life ended. This is how I'm thinking at the time, of course. Yeah. And so I never did. And the job went. I didn't get it. I had to sort of survive on my own, which is incredibly hard. Anyone who's been to uni will know that. And also, thankfully, have a little bit of help from Bank of Mum and Dad. Now, not everyone has that, and again, it's another reason why I'm so grateful for where I've come from. But what did me was this all happened before I even stepped foot in my university for the third year. This is like freshers, before. Yeah. And it happens, I go into meltdown, I say some really bad things to the person involved, which I'm very sorry for now, because I understand that they weren't the best things to say, because you've got to approach situations like that a lot differently. And so the night that it happened, I can remember it so vividly. We pretty much stopped talking. The argument and fight had finished. That was it. It was done now. I remember I'd rang Mum. I can't remember who I rang first. My mum or dad, is one or the other. Told them the news, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to be really strong here. I'm going to be really strong and tell them. I'm going to ring them up. I was like, Dad, and I just started crying. And I've never ever cried that much, bar my granddad's funeral. That was just a shit show, to be honest. From me, it was a horror show. But I'd never cried that much, and I was literally, I didn't know what to do. I was powerless. When you get into that sort of mood and like that crying state where you're sort of shaking, you're breathing funny, and you look like an absolute weapon. But so that it happened to me that, and I just like remember it so vividly. And then the worst thing that I could have done, the absolute worst thing I could have done, I went out to the local off licence and bought a bottle of tequila. Finished the bottle of tequila that night, which I am very proud of that I didn't spew up, by the way, but you shouldn't be because it's bad, kids. But I took it to the bottle. Don't do it. It's really bad. Don't do that. It doesn't solve your problems. It doesn't give you any...
We're drinking from the bottle.
I was drinking from the bottle, but it doesn't solve your problems. It doesn't give you any release. It just makes you feel a lot worse. And as the days went on, the weeks went on, I was still in contact for a while.
So a lot of alcohol can add to
emotions.
Yeah, the sort of... I don't want to throw the depressed word out there.
Yeah, I hate the word because I don't want to use it.
But just for argument's sake, it adds to depression.
Of course, yeah.
It depends on what. With wine, for me, if I have too much wine, I get really sad. Right. Okay. It's just one of those things. Alcohol, it's never the best thing to. Although it seems it's never the best thing to go to when you are. At a low point. It's to me, it was definitely it seemed like it was the answer, and it 100% it wasn't. How it always is. So the days go past. I sort of get this sort of Beyonce belief in me that I'm, I don't need no girl to that sort of thing, and literally it was though. It was like that. Yeah. And for some stupid reason, I thought it would be a good idea to air all my grievances out in one big fuck off letter type text,
and it was like a fucking essay. I think I showed. Did I show you? Yeah, I showed you. And it was horrible. It was the worst. I think I've still got it somewhere. I read it back like maybe 6 months ago, and I was just like, Josh, what the fuck are you doing? Like, all of the things in there were very true, and I meant them, but I should not have sent that text. Yeah. It just made everything worse. What could have been a nice amicable split and people remain friends, because it can happen. Mm-hmm. It can happen. It sent everything south, made everything really toxic, and
she was toxic though. Anyway, she talked a lot of smack about me, and
yeah, she did.
I again doubt she'll watch it, but. For whatever reason, if for whatever reason any of anyone she knows did or whatever, I'm happy saying.
I'm not trying to say that she was a great person. Yeah. I don't like talking about it when we're together, because I missed a lot of the things that other people saw. I don't want to talk about that, because we're not airing dirty. This is not about airing dirty laundry. This is about talking about mental health and how we cope with it and what we did. So
experiences and how to relate to them.
Yeah. Because I'm sure everyone's been through a breakup, but this was this was my first serious relationship, and it meant a great deal to me. And when it was over, I went into a spiral of, I don't like using the word, but depression. Mm-hmm. I was on my own in my own uni room, which was absolutely the worst thing that could have happened. I was in there, sat in my own, probably all day near enough, unless we did something with the boys or anything. Sat there just with my thoughts, crying, doing this, doing that, crying again, getting all whole pictures, crying to them. It was horrible. I would not wish it on my worst enemy, because it's a horrible feeling. And this lasted up until November. So I sent this letter a few days after we split up, and that led to her blocking me completely, writing me off, sort of thing, as anything. Which fair enough to her, to be honest. Fair enough to her. I probably would have done the same if I was on the other end of the stick. But it comes to late October, maybe November, and I'm somehow get back into contact with her. I don't know how, but I was one of them where I was like, oh yeah, I need to speak to her because I've said this, and I was alright, Mel, honestly. But so I get back in touch with her, and she's just a completely different person now. She's from that letter. It's you've done it now. That's it. We're done. Not even a chance of being friends. Mm-hmm. And that it was I remember it as clear as day. The day before my 21st birthday, in my head I was like, This is supposed to be one of the most joyous occasions of my young life. Like, it's the 21st birthday, I'm legal to drink in America if I want to. If I can go, let's go Vegas, that sort of thing. And I was like, but I don't want to live. I don't want to be alive. And I was sat there crying to my mum. I do a lot of crying there. And saying, Mum, I don't want to live, I don't want to be alive. And she was just telling, she wasn't great about it, but she was great about it as well. She was like, shut up, you can't be saying that, don't be saying that, you stupid, sort of thing. And she obviously didn't
Sometimes that's the best way to go.
Yeah, it was tough love. And at the time I was just thinking, you don't understand, you don't get it. And no one gets it. And as a lot of people do think that. And I just didn't want to say anything, so that stopped me saying anything else. And then I had my birthday. It was the worst birthday of my life. And I can't remember, there was actually a point where I sort of changed my life around, but I know that I have. And I just actually... Oh, no, I can remember. It was... what's a day called when we go out into town near Christmas?
Mad Friday.
Mad Friday. That was the day. It was Mad Friday. Something very, very personal was aired on her friend's Snapchat that I saw, and it was very, very hurtful.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. I don't want to go into it because it's past now, and that sent me on a little bit of a mad one. I was very angry, but the day after, that was the day where I felt freedom. I felt like my shackles had been released from me, and I felt like, right, that, because it just spelled out to me exactly what she meant to me now, because and it told me, like, she don't care about me, but everyone else had told me that, but that was when I said, right, she don't care about me. Now it's time to fucking do something with your life, because you can't just sit here and, you know, let her, what she's done, consume you. And I was letting it consume me, and I sort of, from that day on, I just really, like, turned everything around. And I don't want to say that I had an experience with mental health, but it was mental health. It was depression. It was literally crying all day, crying all night, being sat on my own with my own thoughts, telling, like, really crazy thoughts. Some suicidal. I don't have a problem admitting that. I never got to a stage where I actually tried to do anything, thank God, but their thoughts crossed my head, and I've never said anything like that on camera or anything, but this is the table to share, and this is what we're trying to get at. This is what I want to make this podcast for, is to tell people what you've been through. Just talk about it, because like Adam says, he explained it perfectly. It's the best bit of advice you'll get from this podcast. Talk about your problems. Talk about your experiences. Because I know it's so cliche, but a problem shared is a problem halved.
Even if it's not, there's no help received from that person. Sometimes all you need is somebody to listen.
Yeah, and just, it's a release. It's getting it off your chest. Because it's like a big volcano. It's building up, and it's ready to blow, and it's really ready to blow. And you've just got to, sometimes you'll not let it blow, and then it'll sort of blow up from the inside, and you'll go off on one. But you need to let it blow out your mouth and speak to someone, for God's sake, because that is just the best thing to do. So we spoke about our experiences. Thanks very much for sharing that. Another, I know it seems a bit deep, a bit dark. It's deeper. I don't want it to be dark. I want it to be sort of enlightening. This is why I've brought my little book, and this is what's helped me. I'll take my bookmark out, because it actually makes me look like a really old man that I've got a bookmark, because I don't know where I am in my book. It's called, I'll put up a picture on the video.
And you guys tell me how much it looks like the guy from Prison Break.
I've never watched it, so I don't know who this guy is that you're on about.
Wait.
Get it up, but I just want to explain. While I'm explaining, you get it up, right? So this book is called #Max Out Your Life. It's by a keynote speaker called Ed Mylett, who is basically a guy who goes around giving speeches about self-improvement and self-reflection. And this is what has made my life so much different and so much better. And I don't want to be the guy who does plugs for books and that, but if I could plug one book, it would be this one. So it's there, you'll be able to see it on the screen. It's there for you to buy.
The guy on the left.
A little bit, not too much.
Show me the front cover.
Nothing like him.
It does.
Alright, it looks a little bit like him, but anyway, this has changed my life. His book is called Strategies for Becoming an Elite Performer. I don't feel like I'm ever going to become an elite performer, but who fucking knows, you know what I mean? So, some of the things he talks about in this are something like thoughts on changing your beliefs, changing your identity, gaining winning confidence, deadlines, how you can smash them, habits and rituals, and what you can do that sort of changes your life. And I've, in the past couple of months, I don't know about you and what your opinions are on this, but I've become a lot more open to this fact of self-reflection and self-improvement, because the way that I see it is that there's nobody else on planet Earth that can improve you other than you. I don't know what your... Yeah. Maybe you've not really had a chance to sort of look into any kind of thing like that. But some people, it might just seem like bullshit and someone's giving a speech on a Instagram photo. And to me, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, it's another one of them Instagram videos. But I watched it, and I was just captivated by his words. And it just made me realise, like, nobody else is going to change me. Nobody else is going to do anything to me to make me improve, because I've got to go to somebody else with something to give. Sorry, and if I don't have anything to give, no one's going to want anything from me. Yeah. And that's why I've sort of come to this book, to different videos on YouTube, on Instagram, Facebook, about that Gary V. Have you seen him? He's a bit of He's the same sort of character.
Legend.
Yeah, exactly. And it's inspiration, and this is what the podcast was meant to be a little bit for as well. A little bit of self-promotion on that. I'm going to be making this channel a little bit more based on self-reflection, self-improvement, and just generally improving life for yourself and achieving a bit more happiness in your life. That's what I want to sort of set my path on with regards to YouTube now. Breaking news. But I just wanted to have a little side note. That's the book. Check it out. It'll be in the description. If you like it, get it. If you don't just fuck off. I don't know. But watch the video and then fuck off. And like the video and then fuck off. But
and subscribe.
And then subscribe and then fuck off. Yeah. But I've just lost my track of thought there. But we'll keep it going now. The next thing I want to talk about is dealing. We've mentioned it previously, briefly. Dealing with grief and dealing with loss. It's such a horrible subject that no one should have to talk about it, but unfortunately, everyone has to talk about it. If you don't want to talk about your experiences with it, then I understand that. I'll go first on this one. I'll go first because you went first on the last one. Okay, buckle in, guys. It's going to get deep. So when I was 13, I want to say, I think, my uncle passed away from cancer. I can't even remember. This is how bad a fucking person I am. I can't even remember what cancer it was. It was cancer. Any cancer is fucking horrible, but it was cancer. It killed him. And the worst thing was that my mum, he died in my mum's arms, because she was obviously looking after him, and she wasn't looking after him. She'd gone round to his house to sort of make him a cup of tea and just be with him and talk to him a little bit. And I just feel so, because I was only 13. Obviously, I had nothing to give, or I mean, I was just a little kid, for fuck's sake. But I will never sort of forgive myself for not going with my mum, even though I didn't even have the opportunity to. It's just one of those things. But she had to experience that. Doing CPR on him, trying to resuscitate him, and like when she tells me the story now, it absolutely cuts me up. So we have the funeral for that, and I have a little bit of a different story to most about experiencing a funeral for the first time. I was sick. I was very, very ill. I had I can't remember what it was, but it must have been like a stomach bug or something, and I was absolutely out of it. I don't even remember being in the church. So yeah, I was literally that bad. I was so ill. I got taken out by my cousin. I remember it, and for the whole day I was just in bed. So for me, that was my first experience of a funeral and somebody passing. It didn't feel bad to me because I was just too ill to sort of think about it, which is really bad, to be honest. I felt really bad about it, but I was just ill, and I hadn't had the chance to properly grieve, properly sit down. And he was a really good person to me, because when I was a kid, he used to live with my grandma, where we were earlier today, and I would go there because my mum left me there. Sounds like she's abandoned me. She used to drop me there because she used to go to work and put the graft in. I think she gave me to my grandma 6 weeks after I giving birth, and just went straight back to work, back on the grind. So fair play to her. She's got a great work ethic. But I was close to him because I used to sort of potter around when he was working on his cars, because he was a big car person, and so I was close to him in that sense. But then as the years went on, I didn't see him as much, and so it didn't feel like a real harsh loss. Fast forward to 2015, I think, 2015. It can't have been 2 years. It was 2015. Right. I'm about to have my. It's literally a week before my exams. For the end of A levels, the whole A level thing, and like I said, I scraped through them. But that was when my granddad passed away, and that one was a lot different. Like, it was so much different. It was on one hand, it wasn't when he died, when he first passed away. I accepted it, and I was like, okay, it's happened. We'll get over it as a family, and that was because he also died from cancer, but he was long gone about 4 weeks before, I'd say. Yeah. Like, he was.
That's quite often the case.
Yeah, he was out of it. Like, he was fucking on.
It's like just a waiting game.
Yeah, of course. We were literally just counting down the hours. Like, it's gonna be soon, and then eventually it happened. So we were more prepared for it because doctors were telling us, he's gonna go. It might be tonight, might be tomorrow.
Very, very, very similar.
Yeah, and so that happens, and I accept it, and we go, yeah, let's do the funeral. We'll have a great time to sort of remember him because he was one of the biggest characters in my life, one of the biggest personalities you'll ever meet. Always up for a laugh, always up for a party, and just a great human being. So we get to the funeral, and I haven't cried once. I haven't grieved once like that. I've just literally accepted it and more, to be honest, focused on my uni A levels and that, because I need to get them done and do all right in them. But it comes to the funeral, and I can't remember exactly what it was. I think I might have been a pallbearer where I was lifting it.
Yeah.
I might not have been, actually. I can't remember. It was either that or I was comforting my grandma and my auntie. Because my mum's strong. Stories. Really?
Yeah.
Well, my mum's really strong. She was all right, but eventually she did cry. But and I got sat down in the church. I was front row, and oh no, that was it. I wasn't a pallbearer. I didn't lift it. I was just sat in the front row, and I saw this casket, just there, and that just fucking hit me like a fucking bus. I was absolutely, I just was overcome by it and just like cried my eyes out and was inconsolable. And I don't know what it was. It was maybe just the fact that I've never seen, because I was never close up to my uncles, so I never really got a good eye of it. Yeah. But I was there, I saw it, I was like, shit, my fucking granddad's in there and he's gone. Like, that is real now. And for me, getting over that was probably one of the hardest things I've ever accomplished, because we can all have a our own tasks, our own accomplishments, our own goals, but when it comes to something that you're not in control of and it's taken away from you, that's when it really shows what kind of person you are and what kind of work ethic you actually do have to resolve it and to get over it. And just thank God that I didn't go south about it. I didn't, go off the rails. Rest in peace to both my uncle and my granddad. Fond memories of them both. And I just want to sort of say that my experience with grief is a little bit different. And some people might be in that sort of mind frame that it's not the classic story of going to a funeral and even not doing anything at all, or crying your eyes out and showing all your emotions. But yeah, that was my story for that, and I don't know really. That's where I'm going with it. If you want to talk about yours, man, it's up to you, man. It's just a way of sharing.
I mean, I've already touched on it.
Yeah.
So
oh god, I'm getting emotional.
I won't go into a lot of detail, but yeah, I'll talk. So starting with my uncle.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah. I'm just getting emotional.
Yeah. So starting with my uncle.
Okay.
Now, the two before my uncle and my granddad.
Yeah.
The only death I'd ever experienced before was my dad's dad, but I was really young at the time, so I didn't fully get it. Like I was like, I don't know how, I'm like 9, 10, something like that. Like it's like I was just, like I don't really have much recollection of it. So the first one I do remember properly is my uncle.
Yeah.
And this was, like mentioned before, the one that hit the worst. So I actually found out. It's so like. So I was basically like, as I mentioned before.
Yeah.
Like I just got myself like a job.
Yeah.
Like I just, like I just sort of thought that I'd found my place in the world.
Yeah.
So I would, at this point, I was quite happy.
Right.
And I was sat with Lucy in literally the room next to this.
Yeah.
I was just sat on the chair and I was just laughing and joking. We were just having a good time.
Yeah.
I knew at this point that my uncle was ill with cancer.
Yeah.
But we had been told that he'd got up to 2 years to live.
Okay.
So it wasn't one of those whereby, like, I knew that it was gonna happen, but it was like we was told he's got up to 2 years.
Yeah.
Like he's not gonna get past that.
Uh-huh.
I was on the chair and I literally got a phone call off my grandma, and I knew she was up in Newcastle. He lived in Newcastle.
Yeah.
She was up there looking after him. So I got a phone call from her. I was expecting it, just I don't know, a phone call from my grandma. Yeah. Just see how the house is. If you fed the cat or what, something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And she just goes, I just want to let you know. She doesn't really seem that shook by it, but she said, I just want to let you know, your Uncle Steve's just died.
He was called Steve?
Yeah.
My uncle was called Steve. That's fucking crazy.
And
oh my god.
And that's quite a lot of the things you said, like, it just relates the exact same to me as well.
Jeez.
And I didn't even end the phone to I dropped the phone because I was just so taken aback by it. I just dropped the phone and I just burst into tears.
Wow.
And Lucy, obviously, she had no idea what was going on. I was just crying. I couldn't say, like, I was crying that much. I couldn't say what had happened.
Yeah.
And the next thing I know, my dad burst in through the door. He's sprinting in to, like, come and see if I'm okay. He's the one that has to tell Lucy what's happened because I'm just a wreck. And yeah, I took that one really, really badly.
How old were you at the time? Oh, you were 17?
Yeah, I would have been.
16,
I would have
17?
been like 17.
Right, yeah.
So, because it was like the months just before my 18th birthday, because that was the birthday I was talking about.
Okay,
before.
yeah, of course.
So I was 17, and the funeral itself, it actually brought a positive.
Yeah.
So I honestly can't remember why, but I hadn't been talking to my mum for people that don't know, I've lived with my grandma for quite a while now. After my parents broke up, I decided I wanted to stay in Bawtry.
Yeah.
So I decided to move in with my grandma, and my parents both moved out of Bawtry. I've thrown myself off track.
It's alright.
I wasn't talking to my mum. I can't remember why I wasn't. But I hadn't been talking to her for quite a while.
All right.
It was just, we'd probably just had quite a big argument over something.
Yeah.
And it was at the funeral where I went with my auntie Steph, and I was just like, because I'd never experienced death before, like not properly anyway.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to handle it, so I was just I was crying more than anybody else.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of people in the room a lot closer to him than I was.
Yeah.
I was actually a lot closer to my granddad than I was my uncle, but my uncle's death had a much worse effect on me. And it was, my mum seeing me upset that sort of brought us back together and back okay again.
Yeah.
So I think I always have that, it feels like I'm really sort of trying to scratch at it, but it's I'm just trying to emphasize the fact that you've always sort of got to look at the positives.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, it was a fucking tragic event.
Yeah.
But good came from it.
Yeah.
And I know that that's not going to be the case in a lot of deaths.
That
was just one.
Everyone's different. Everyone
little
experiences different things. So.
But I'm just saying, that was just one positive thing that came from that. And then the second one, so my granddad again. I knew I had a job interview coming up.
Yeah.
It was 4 or 5 days before the job interview. I can't remember exactly, but it was around about a week, just short of a week. And I'm literally, I think I'm at, because obviously I don't have a job at this point, so I think I'm out drinking. I come home, so I'm I come home and I wake up at 1 p.m. It was a good night, let's say. And I wake up very early afternoon, and I come downstairs and everyone's not everyone, there's quite a few people in the kitchen and they're all upset.
Yeah. I
walk in, I'm what the fuck's going on? I'm sort of kind of scratching my head, I just want some water or something. I'm fucking hungry,
Yeah.
And everyone's just crying and upset, and I'm what the hell's going on?
Uh-huh.
And it was in the back of my head because, you mentioned with your granddad, we was told he's a couple of weeks tops. He was, the last time I'd seen him was a week, maybe a week before, and he didn't look the same person. He was just so skinny, and just pale. He basically looked like a corpse before. You didn't look like my granddad. So it was in the back of my head when I saw everyone upset, but I didn't want to admit it to myself. My grandma took me in the other room and explained what had happened, and my genuine reaction was okay. Okay. And I got myself some food, I got a drink, I went upstairs and I went on Netflix. I was just watching TV. And then later that night I remember bursting into tears, just randomly.
Yeah.
When I sort of started thinking about it. And that's kind of how I dealt with my granddad's death. It was I was okay for the vast majority, and it was spells, because his funeral was quite a late one. It was 3 or 4 weeks after the death.
Oh.
So it was a really late on funeral.
Yeah.
And I throughout that time I was just sort of crying on and off. But for the vast majority, like I said, I was okay.
Yeah.
And the funeral comes around, and bear in mind I've literally I've been in my job literally a few weeks by this point. So actually, it would have been maybe just after my first week or something, because I didn't start immediately. I know I'd been there like maybe like a week or two anyway. So that was all sort of fresh in my mind. I was trying to stay positive about that.
Yeah.
We get to the funeral, and so like we have like, you know, like you set in place before like the people that are going to carry the coffin.
Yeah.
And on the day of the funeral, my Uncle John, like my great Uncle John, so it's like his dad.
Yeah.
He has sort of like those two are really, really close. So it became like too much for him. Basically, he didn't want to have to carry the coffin. Like he was just destroyed.
Yeah.
So they literally said, "Can someone carry the coffin?" Like, John can't. He just can't. And me sort of being like I don't know. I thought I could handle it, I guess. Like,
yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'll do it. Like, I was okay by that point. I can't say why, but for the vast majority, I wasn't. I don't know. I didn't cry like
That takes a big man to do that, because you've got to literally put your grandman on your shoulders.
Well, it was until the moment I picked it up.
But even so, to be able to go into that position to actually say, yeah, and stand up, I'll do it, fair play to you, man, because that is big of you.
Fucking hell. Yeah, and I did it.
Yeah.
And it was the worst experience of my life.
Yeah.
Because like you said, I was literally, the only thing running through my head was my granddad is on my shoulders.
Yeah. Fuck me. Jeez.
It was like, don't get me wrong, like I look back at it and I'm so glad I did it. I'm so happy,
wow.
like I'm so proud of myself for doing it.
No, fair play to you, yeah.
But it is the hardest and the worst thing I've ever had to do.
I can definitely imagine that. Jesus Christ.
And yeah, that's kind of just like the story of how I dealt with both.
So you showed emotion with both, but that was your way of grieving.
Yeah, just I think with my Uncle Steve, it was when I found out, a lot of crying straight away, and then I was fine. The funeral came, I cried a bit at the funeral. That was it. It was that, and then it was done. With my granddad, it was I knew it was happening very soon.
Yeah.
So it was like when I found out, I was ready to accept it anyway. It's sort of on and off crying up to the funeral. The funeral was just the funeral was horrific. Like, just fucking awful. And then probably for like the next month or so, it was again just sort of, I'd just have nights where I'd be sat there and all of a sudden I'd just cry.
Yeah. Man.
And that's today's like the first time I've cried since.
Really?
Like.
Oh man, I don't like that, like, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. It's not intention to dig it all up and make you feel bad about it. It's. I'm very, very like proud that you've been able to share that with us, and you know, it takes a big man to want to step up and say, yeah, I'll carry that coffin, because fuck me, I've never been asked, but it would take a lot for me to do that, and so honestly, fair play to you, mate, for doing that, and thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing with us, because some people are going to tell you, they're going to try and tell you how to deal with grief because it's how they dealt with it.
Yeah.
Listen to them, but don't take their word as a cardinal, as be all and end all, because everybody is fucking different. If you feel like crying, cry your fucking heart out. If you don't. It's simply individual to yourself.
This might sound completely out of the blue and probably quite harsh, but even if your way of dealing with death is to just laugh about it, just I don't know,
just any emotion that you're feeling. It's a little bit like the what we talked about with mental health. Just let it come out.
It is quite common, like when people talk about death, for them they sort of have to laugh, because if they don't, they don't know what to do with themselves. So it's kind of like,
honestly,
it's like it's not like I'm laughing because this person's dead. It's
it's not
like it's just an awkward laugh because you don't know what else to do.
You can't control your emotions. I mean, you can control your emotions, but when something like that happens, it's very hard to control your emotions. But if you feel like crying, cry. If you don't feel like crying, you don't have to cry. It doesn't make you any less sad or make you any better or worse of a person because you haven't cried or you have cried. As long as you deal with it in your own way and can move on with your life and be a good person to those who have also been affected by it, and just generally be a more positive person and just take it and just live your life really from it, because sometimes you've got to sort of realise, like for me it was a bit of a realistic thing. I know I was a bit young, I was very young, but I was like, that's going to be me one day, everyone's going to die. And it sort of encouraged me to sort of live my life even more, even though I already was at the time. I was very happy and very, just enjoying life. But it's really to say, life is not forever, and you've got to make the most of it. Otherwise, you're going to sit back when you're old and grey and you're about to kick your clogs, and you're going to think, I wish I'd done this. And I never want to be that kind of guy who says, I wish I did this, I wish I did that. I want to have done everything that I've ever wanted to before I get to that stage. But going back to grief and that, deal with it however the fuck you want to deal with it.
Yeah.
That is the truth.
It's always good to, as we've done as well, just share experiences, because even if the way somebody else has dealt with their loss or their bad experience, even if it's not the same way that you would deal with those, it's always good to, I guess, get someone else's perspective.
Mm-hmm. It's like when you're doing a sort of like a report or something at school and you've got to use everyone else's evidence to back up your points. Do that. Use other people's evidence, other people's stories like mine and Adam's, and help it back up how you're feeling or how you're going to react. If you've got somebody, if you're watching this and you've got a funeral to attend, or someone's just passed or someone's about to pass, then use these stories that you've heard today to make you have a little bit of more information to make your own decision on how you're going to react, and then you'll be in better stead for it. You'll be more prepared for it.
To know as well that you will always come out the other end fine. No matter who it is. You literally life. It sounds really harsh, but life does go on. It
has to go on because that's just what it is. We're here for a purpose. We're alive and we're breathing, and sadly the harsh truth of it is that person isn't, but that doesn't mean you can't remember them or you can't think about them at all.
And 9 times out of 10 they have lived their life to its either max or almost maximum potential. They've enjoyed every day, they've like you said, gone out and lived their life. And
You've nailed that on the head.
And then unfortunately for them, their time is up. but
your
it's
time,
up to
isn't
you.
it?
Yeah, it's up to you to go and do that. And then when it comes to your passing, the people below you to go and do the same thing.
Yeah, and again, it's another cliche, but that person's going to be looking down from wherever it is. It might be heaven, it might be hell, whatever anyone believes in. I'm not per se a religious person, but wherever this person may be, this soul, this body, whatever, they'll be looking down on you and just...
They'll want you to be happy.
Because they probably haven't... that when they've lost someone, they will have moved on as well. They would have had the grief, and they will have lived their lives. And like Adam says, they've lived their lives, and you can't get caught up on it. You've got to keep moving. You've got to get better. You've got to be more positive, have a positive outlook, and just keep your mind busy if that's what it takes. There's plenty of things you can do to get through loss.
That's something that definitely helped with both my granddad and my uncle. Like I knew for a fact that they both lived like incredible lives.
Yeah.
So it helped me know that like at least they had a good time.
Exactly the same for me. My uncle and both my granddad and uncle, they worked on the oil rigs in Nigeria. So they were like traveling the world, doing all kinds of shit, like getting really rowdy and partying to the early hours, doing it their way and not letting anyone say the fuck anything about it. And I know that they just enjoyed it to the max. And that is like Adam says, you can take that and you can feel a lot better about yourself and a lot better about the whole situation.
Exactly.
Wow, this has been so deep, a little bit enlightening, to be honest. It's good to do this because I've not told we've both not told our stories on camera before, but I haven't told my story on camera, and it's been like over a year. Yours has been over a year and a half since it happened.
No, like almost 2 years back.
Almost 2 years, yeah. So we spoke about it to obviously other people, like close family and friends and that.
Well, it's probably since my uncle is now being 2.
Yeah.
It'll like close to my granddad being 2.
Yeah. So 2 years, 1 year, and we've come here not to try and obviously, like we've spoken about people having negative impacts on our life. You had a bad boss. I had the ex-girlfriend. This is not a video to take shots at these people and talk shit about them. This is merely our story.
Although it was a CUNT.
It was merely our story, and it was our way of how we've dealt with things, and just to show that there is light at whatever end of the tunnel you're going to, whatever kind of thing you're going through, whatever you're experiencing, there is always light at the end of the tunnel, in one way or another. And that's sort of what I'd like to sort of round this podcast off on. That there's always light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you so much, Adam, for this. Yeah, I really appreciate it. Put it there, man. I really appreciate that you've come on here, this podcast, and got so deep, got so open with me and the viewers as well. This podcast will be available to download if you want to. The links will be down in the description as per usual.
Sorry.
You just bang the radiator. Adam's Adam's channel will be in the description below for you to see. Go and check him out. He's always making good content on there. There's a link to the book that I told you about. Really do consider checking that out. It's helped me change my life.
Have you thought about releasing this on Spotify or not?
Oh yeah, 100%. Can you do it on iTunes as well?
I think you have to get an agreement with Apple.
Okay, fuck Apple. We'll do it on Spotify.
No, I think they will do it for smaller
Unfuck Apple. We'll do it we'll put it on Apple. We'll put it on Spotify. I'll get it anywhere I can because as long as this is out there, I just want to sort of have a little bit of a positive impact on my community and my life and other people's lives. Thank you so much for watching this. If you have watched this right to the end, you are the real MVPs out there. join us next time, wherever that may be. We'll definitely hope to do one soon.
There'll be a podcast in a couple of weeks because, as I mentioned on my podcast,
which we've just recorded as well. We've done literally about 4 hours worth of podcasts right now.
The Liverpool crisis will be over.
The Liverpool crisis will be over, and we'll have something deep and something inspiring to talk about on my podcast in time. I don't know when, but for now, thank you so much for watching, and we shall see you soon. Goodbye. Fucking hell. Oh, that was so deep. Cheers, mate, for that. That was fucking great.